Yo, what's happening guys? This time on Tokimotive I'm doing matsuri prep. Not in the way you'd think, because the car's running good. Knock on wood, but yeah. A mate of mine happened to be selling LAMBO door hinges for a 33, so we're gonna try and make them work. Before we get too stuck into the how-tos and the actual making the hinges work with the doors and all the rest of it, I'll pull apart the front of the wagon, get that ready for us, and then we'll start ripping into it and I'll highlight some key points as I'm going. I'm gonna say it's been a very long time since I pulled this front guard off, because this wiring was hanging down near touching the wheel. We've got exposed wires. I'm gonna go ahead and start doing everything to pull this door off. I just disconnect speakers and stuff like that. And there's a little pin in here that I'll pull while I'm going, which is, it's kind of the stay for the door. It's what stops it from just swinging back closed, which we're not gonna need that at all anymore. So, yeah, we'll get into it. A little tip for getting off your door handles: get a piece of cloth, feed it in up underneath it, like so, just like that, because they got a little clip like that, clips onto there, and now you just work that piece of material up around it and it grabs onto them and pops off. Well, that might be why that never worked. That explains why this door's never aligned properly. That hinge is below. Hopefully you can see, but I've gone ahead and with chalk marker, I've marked out where I'm gonna cut, because this whole seam here has to go, otherwise, fucking mate, that was a splitter. This whole seam here has to go, so we're actually gonna be able to fit it. I'll leave this bit in here, and where I cut these seams off, I'm gonna get the welder and I'm gonna put a few spots along, just to put a bit of strength back into it, being that it is actually a structural part of the car. And then we'll have to clearance this by quite simply just getting a large hammer and bashing it in. It pretty well pops from this shape out to in. So the metal's still under tension. I'd say it won't lose too much strength. I'm not too stressed about it, but I'm definitely going to put some weld along the top here, and that'll keep everything all solid. So I'll chuck this on a fast forward again like I do, and I'll cut this out and start working on it. Turns out my MIG is fucked. Feed there, but won't feed out there. Say something's broken in the handle or along the cable somewhere. So this isn't going to be fun. That's thick flexed up, and it shouldn't get any rust in along the seams or anything, because as anyone that's had one of these knows, that's where they rust. I got very lucky with this shell. It had next to no rust, just a couple of little pinholes and some seams lifting along that area, but that was it. So A lot of you probably think this is a shame to do to a good shell, but it's what I want to do and it's fun. While that all dries, we'll go over and cut out that other side, and I'll seal it up, do the same treatment as this. As you can see, I've gone ahead and sorted the other side out. My phone was going flat, so I figured I may as well do something that you've already seen while it's on charge. I'll set us up on a bit of a stand, and we'll go through how we're going to cut off these door hinges and stuff like that, get it ready so we can actually fit them up once all this stuff's dried off and I've put a little coat of paint over it and stuff like that. Alright guys, before I put this up on a pedestal, a couple of little tips for if you ever decide to do this yourself. There's a little circlip on the end of these door hinge pins. You pop that off and then belt that out. You may need a screwdriver on there to tap it the rest of the way, but it makes it a lot easier to get the grinder in when these are gone. And for removing your door seal, they got these little plastic tabs there. I've broken a few of them trying to just pull them out. So what I tend to do is you just pull it one way, like that, and push it back the other way, and it allows that bit to get out the hole. So that'll just make it a bit easier. We'll get that stuff all out of the way. I'm impatient, so it's still dry enough to the touch. So we're gonna have a crack at fitting it. I've gone through and I've taken a carbide burr to some more of these of the mount points, because some of them weren't quite lining up, so I was only using 2 bolts when I mocked it up. So we'll see if they're close enough now, but this will have to come back off anyway, because I'm going to transfer what I've done to this over onto the other hinge, because mirrored it should be pretty close to working straight away on the other side. So we'll do our best for that. There'll probably be some fine tuning to do, but I'll put you on a bit of fast forward while I fiddle around and mess around with this. And to give you guys an idea of how strong these gas hinges are, I can't get them down on my body weight. Well, it appears I'm going to have to hollow these mounts a bit further this way, the holes on it, just because it's holding the door too hard that way. So if I shift the whole hinge back, say just another few mil, I think it'll be good. Pull this bracket back off and go transfer the holes onto the other side. I've gone around the edges of it with a paint marker so that I can set it back to the spot that it's in now straight away, because they sit so close together. Just going to give them a little squirt with some white paint that'll show up real well, and then I can just drill that out when I'm ready for it, because I'll try to sort this side out first. guys, well originally I had planned to do one door and then do the other, just so I could have that little joy of the door going tonight. But the bolts I bought were too short, probably need them to be an extra 10 mil, so go 40 mil bolts. But is what it is. I'll get them first thing when I wake up tomorrow, which will probably be like midday because I'm on night shift. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna drill out the mount for the other side, the hinge. I'm gonna drill all that out and get that sitting so it'll fit up nicely, get everything ready so it's basically bolt the doors on and put stuff back together tomorrow. So it's the next day. I've been out to Bunnings and got some longer bolts. Essentially what we're going to do to try and make this door work and not be floppy on the hinge is, for the top and bottom bolts there's not much space, so I'm just using a normal washer on the inside. But for the middle ones where I can get it in, I've got a square washer that I've cut down. So that's kind of like the outside of the door there. So they'll bolt through and hopefully that extra surface area will make the door a bit more sturdy. So I'll go through and start trying to bulk up this door. If it does work, we'll apply it to the other side. So door's working good, it's solid as. The only play is in the hinge itself, which is nothing I can do about. But cut down all the bolts, Loctited them all. All I'm gonna do now is between here and down here, I'm just gonna fold that lip in, and that will be enough to actually clear the hinge. Pretty happy with that. That's minimal interference with the guard. Contacts in a couple of places, but once it's all bolted down, it's not pulling on it, it's not restricting the door, it's just kind of pushing it a touch, so I'm pretty happy with that. I might start putting the other side on and then throw the front end back together. Attempt to do this, something I forgot to mention before. I folded out that piece of the frame of the door so I can get to those holes you see in there. Otherwise, with where the window tracks are, it's just pretty much impossible. Down the bottom ones are fine because you've got the speaker hole, but that's just too tight there otherwise. I'll just bend it back in when I'm done. guys, well that's that. Took it for a maiden voyage to gym, but anyway, S15 rolled past my house just as I was coming out the driveway and got to witness the doors, which, fuck, the reactions of people with these doors, it's going to be cool. But yeah, also, the little MX-5 behind me, sick. But yeah, if you enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe if you want to see more, maybe hit that notification bell if you want to see what's coming next. And yeah, as you would have seen just before, I cleaned up that little bit of wiring that had fallen down and gotten broken. But other than that, I'll see you on the next one.